Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 34, reference 114200, stainless steel with silver dial and lavender indices. It's gorgeous. This watch measures 34 millimeters in diameter, 11.8 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip. It's 41.5 millimeters, but if you include the solid end links of the bracelet, it is 43.6 millimeters across the wrist with a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We will pop it off my wrist here. After getting a quick look at how it sits, the watch is broad. The tonneau style case, and the Oyster has always been a tonneau style case, means it looks a little bit bigger than it is. So while it's a 34, visually, I'd say it's more of a 36. We'll zoom out a little bit so you can decide for yourself. On the wrist, it's compact. I would say you probably don't want to wear it on a wrist much larger than mine. My wrist being 16 centimeters circumference gives you a good sense of the upper limit. There is no lower limit. This will wear on a very small wrist or even a child's wrist. It's flat enough with a domed bezel that it'll fit easily underneath the cuff. Taking a quick look at some of the hardware, you can see that it's equipped with the Rolex Oyster bracelet, which is a 3-link design. In this case, it features a conforming end link that mates it to the case. We have a little bit of a taper here. The primary links are satinated on the top, as are the center links. The only polish is on the outer face of the links. We have removable links fixed by screws here. And you can see internally, this is the previous generation Oyster Perpetual, so there's no easy link, but there are 3 divots drilled in there, and you can use your strap tool to change the anchoring point of the bracelet inside the clasp. We have a sunken Rolex 5-point coronet, and then internally we have a media blasted clasp with a beak and a hook. So while there is no clamshell, it is a lift lock system that snaps shut, and it needs to be lifted and unlatched to open it, so it is quite secure on the wrist. Rolling back to the case, we should take this moment to recognize that Rolex has its own foundry. It makes its own alloys. It makes its cases, bracelets, and clasps, and it uses 904L steel, which is more resistant to corrosion than 316. The primary difference, the practical difference, will be that this watch doesn't need to be rinsed after exposure to sea salt or sweat. It will not corrode under those conditions, whereas some 316 steels will. We have a screw-down crown. This is what Rolex calls the twin lock, 100 meters water resistant. We have a case that's satinated on its lug hoods but polished on its flank. We have a domed bezel, and the Oyster Perpetual has been part of the collection since 1933, when Rolex united the Oyster water-resistant case with the Perpetual rotor winding system. Those were called bubble backs because they had extended case backs to accommodate the rotor. Well, everything is proportionally handsome today, but we still have that dome-style bezel as a visual reference to the very first Oyster Perpetuals. Sapphire crystal, sunburst silver dial, and then we have Explorer-style tri-numerals 9, 6, and 3, so it's an Explorer dial. It also features white gold indices, hands, and Rolex coronet because those are resistant to corrosion, but it features lavender stick indices, giving this dial an unexpected jolt of color. Now we'll do a loom shot. So you can see that those lavender indices glow a different color than the conventional Superluminova hands. Now, the case back. Rolling over to the case back, you can see it is solid Oyster case. Again, 100 meters water resistant. Automatic winding with bidirectional winding actions is caliber 3130, a Rolex manufacturer movement that has a 48-hour power reserve, beats 8 times per second, pivots on 31 jewels. It has a stop seconds or hacking function. It has a full balance bridge with a free-sprung index to make it more shock tolerant. It features a handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring that allows the watch to keep excellent time regardless of its physical orientation or position on the wrist or on your dresser at night. And that overcoil is made of a blue oxidized niobium zirconium alloy Rolex calls Parachrom Blue. It is highly anti-magnetic, so this watch is shock resistant, anti-magnetic, and water resistant. It is also a COSC certified Swiss chronometer, or the movement is. Rolex cases up the certified movement and tests it in 6 positions to run at least -2 + 2 seconds per day. Some run even better to less than that time over 24 hours. So this watch is, as Rolex likes to say, a superlative chronometer. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.